The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
This season is not designed to motivate you. It's not here to make you feel better, and it's not for men who want insight without responsibility. This season is for men who are outwardly successful and yet privately uneasy. So men who can run companies, lead teams, and make hard decisions, and yet they tolerate drift where it matters most. And so if that description irritates you, this season probably isn't going to be for you. But if it lands uncomfortably close, then stay, because what you're about to hear won't comfort you. It will measure you. This is episode 0. I call it the gate. Over the next 30-odd episodes, you're not going to be taught. I'm not going to inspire you, and there'll be nothing for you that's going to be fixed. What will happen instead is that familiar explanations will stop working, not because they were wrong, but because they no longer hold up under pressure. And this season is built up as a measuring environment, not an entertainment experience. And so I've curated each episode to remove one escape hatch that men use to explain away why misalignment can't wait. These 30-odd episodes, systemic escalation. Early episodes are going to expose where you've been mislabeling yourself. Mid-season episodes are going to collapse compartments that you've been maintaining. And in the later episodes, it's going to make the cost clinical and not theoretical. And our final episodes are going to create a frame around doing nothing as a professional failure, not a personal struggle. And so this is intentional architecture, and the pressure builds because the stakes are real, gentlemen. By the end, doing nothing will no longer feel neutral. And so in your professional life, drift just isn't tolerated, is it? Gaps are generally addressed early, and standards are enforced before failure enforces the issue. And you just don't wait for a crisis to correct trajectory, do you? You see misalignment, and then you intervene. But personally, many of us suspend that same rigor, and we call it patience and sacrifice and maturity. And we'll tolerate distance that we would never accept on a team. And so we'll defer conversations we would never postpone in a boardroom. We'll manage around problems that would normally fire someone for ignoring. And so this season does not argue with that choice. It simply is going to measure it. And so here's the question most of us avoid. Why do high-performing men tolerate personally what they never would accept professionally? And this is usually where a man sits and tells me, but this is different. Family isn't a company. Now, I don't want you to answer that. See, the difference isn't the domain, it's the permission you've given yourself. See, professional drift gets corrected because you've decided that it's unacceptable. And personal drift continues because you've decided it's understandable. And so I have another question for you. What would happen if you treated drift at home the way you treat it at work? And don't answer. Just let's sit with that for a moment. Because again, this is where most men tell themselves a story. The story sounds like an explanation, but it functions more as permission. It goes something like this. Once this project wraps up, when the kids are older, after I get through this season, I just need to get some bandwidth. And so if you're sitting across from me, you're probably saying, but Al, it's true. I am genuinely busy. I'm not questioning whether you're busy. Busy explains your schedule. It doesn't explain your priorities. Here's what I mean by that. The man who says after this has usually said it before. The man who's waiting for margin has been waiting for years. And the pattern isn't the busyness. The pattern is the postponement. And so how many times have you told yourself after this? And what actually changed? Don't answer that either. Just notice the pattern. The man who waits for margin rarely ever finds it. He just gets better at explaining why he's still waiting. And so this is not about what you might lose someday. This is about what's already being paid. By you, it's by your family. And if you think this is theoretical, it's not. If you were sitting across from me, you'd probably say, I'm handling it and things are just fine. Well, define fine without using the word yet. What you call stability is often just delayed consequence. And what you call functional is often just manageable distance. And what you call normal is often just everyone's agreed not to name. So hear what's already being paid, whether you're measuring it or not. Relational distance that compounds. Not dramatic, it's not sudden, it's just incremental erosion that becomes structural over time. And so influence with your children that starts to erode quietly. You see, they're watching, they're learning what leadership really looks like. And they're forming conclusions about what matters to you, not from what you say, but from where you actually spend your attention. And so respect from your team that shifts in ways that you won't directly see. They're going to notice the gap between the standard you enforce and the standard that you live. They don't say it, but of course they see it. And internal integrity, the gap between who you are and who you claim to be, see, that's the gap that's costing you something every single day. It costs you clarity, it costs you conviction, and eventually it costs you the ability to trust your own assessment. And so the cost isn't future speculation. It's current accounting. One question: what are you willing to let erode while you wait for the right time? And there's only one assumption that underlies this entire season. It's men who perform at high level do not rely on self-assessment alone. They place themselves in environments where blind spots are exposed and standards are enforced. And that assumption will not be debated, at least not here. It will be treated as normal. And so don't manage your business without advisors, right? We don't train for performance without coaching. You don't navigate complex decisions without counsel. But personally, most men operate in isolation, and we like to call that strength. And so if you were sitting across from me, you'd probably say, I don't need someone to tell me what to do. No one's suggesting you do. Mentorship isn't about being told, it's about being seen. It's about placing yourself in an environment where drift gets named before it becomes your reputation. It's where blind spots get surfaced before they become your legacy. It's where misalignment gets measured before it costs you what you can't replace. So a question: who sees your blind spots before they become your reputation? If the answer is no one, that's not independence. That's risk. So if you're looking for comfort, this season's going to frustrate you. If you're looking for clarity without responsibility, it will irritate you. If you're a man who refuses to live below his own standard, then stay. Because by the end of this season, doing nothing will no longer feel neutral. It will feel like what it is: a decision with consequences. The Band of Brothers is a mentorship environment where higher performing men live this standard. And if that matters to you, you know where to find it.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is the Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.